I didn't say that.
It being 7 o'clock on Thursday, November 9th, we'll call the Finance Committee meeting to order. First item, Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes from, we have 3 sets to approve from 10/5, October 5th of 17.
Move we approve as written.
We have a second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I think that we'd already talked about the October 5th minutes. I was in attendance.
Oh, yeah, that didn't get to,
Oh. Oh, okay.
yeah, that.
Okay. So I have paper all over the place.
Is there anything else?
Yep.
Okay, no further discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
Approve or abstain? Abstain. The minutes of October 16th of 2017. We have a motion to approve.
Motion to approve minutes is written.
Second. We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, abstained? And the last set is from October 30th, 2017.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
I abstain, sorry. Okay, next is Doug Zauer.
I don't think I'll need an hour. Okay, so you all have a copy of the report for I've looked at it. The first one, vacation sentence, so that one's currently in a deficit. We didn't budget for it, it was new for employees that get sick leave. There's however enough, vacation, there's enough sick leave in the sick leave line to offset that one. It's on page 1, the vacation incentive. So page 2, we have the accounting and audit services. That's currently showing, anyway, we fixed that at the town meeting, so there's $26,000 that we'll be paying for the new audit, and we added some additional money to the October town meeting. On page 3,
Is that underway yet?
what's that?
Is the underway?
Yeah, yep, they started mid-October. Page 3, the postage line looked like it was going a little heavy, but they had just put some money on it. Courtney thinks they're going to be okay. So, on page 5, you'll notice the assessor salaries. You have the assistant and the principal clerk. That's the same position. For some reason, it was getting posted in 2 different places. We fixed that problem now, so that'll get fixed next budget report. Next, the treasurer's office, page 7, for financial services, because we did the 2 borrowings in October. There are actually 2 separate ones. One was tax exempt and one was not. It cost a little bit more, so that we will need to fix that. Unless for some reason they don't spend anything else in there. Next, page 9. So on town council, there's 15,500, that was encumbered for the police investigation from last fiscal year. And then there's $1,700 that has been expended additionally for that case.
Could you hold right there? To the chair. 15,500 is already expended for this year?
So it was encumbered, the encumbrance hasn't been shown as spent yet, but will.
So with that and the 1,700, it'll probably be over the.
So it'll be, so right now, it'll be $1,700 over.
Okay.
And that, I'm hoping can be covered by the legal services line. I just have to call the attorney. Next, data processing. There's a little bit of a hole in the professional services. Where you spend it, whether you spend it on a computer equipment maintenance or professional services is kind of like, oh, it should be here or there, so between the two, there's more than enough to cover this. And it's all the bottom line budget, so I'm not concerned about it.
Again, through the chair. The data processing, is this the guy that's going to be setting up your new website?
Yes. So.
When will that go on?
It's Greg.
Greg?
Yeah.
When will it go online?
What's that?
When will it go online?
We were hoping, beginning in December, so pretty soon.
Will it be easy to get into?
The new website?
Would it be like Facebook, or we have to go to town of Webster forum page?
So you'll have to go to the formal Town of Webster.
It's a browser page.
Browser
Yeah.
page.
But it'll be a lot more,
User-friendly?
yeah, and more modern looking, and things might be organized differently. But
Will it be similar to the forum where suggestions and comments can be made, or?
there will be a place where you can make comments, and there's even the ability to, if you see a pothole, you can report it on there, and you can click on the map where you think it is.
That essentially is what we have now. You have that
Yeah,
ability
yeah.
to comment to departments and, yeah.
Right.
And they'll take water samples, right?
Take what sample?
Water samples.
I don't know the website.
Thank you.
Page 10, oh, that's just recovered. Page 12, the conservation agent, we adjusted that at the October town meeting, so that will not be from. Page 13, the custodian under public building salaries, that we also adjusted at the October town meeting. So the next one, on page 14, this is the electricity line. So if you remember in July, we took them from all the different departments and put them into, we call it the public buildings expense budget now. So throughout the rest of the budget, you're gonna see the electricity lines look a little weird because
Yeah.
what was spent out of them already, they took the whole budget. Anyway, it's all gonna work out in the end, so don't worry about it.
So when do you think the adjustments to this
So
report is going to be made?
So the budget was all moved to this line here. So that happened.
Okay,
But the expenses from the several lines, so like the police department already spent some money on electricity, that's still within the police budget. So we gotta
journal them out of there and
and
into,
into that. So that, when I had run this report, that hadn't happened.
okay.
And have we worked with the utilities to generate by meter or, we,
Yep, so within this line item, we call them projects. So for each building, we track what we spent.
so that's being done.
Yep.
Okay.
So on page 15 is just the electricity and heating for
Mhm.
the police. On page 16, I highlighted communications maintenance. Most of that budget gonna show a deficit. I think there's gonna be enough within the fire department budget for the rest of the year that will cover it. It's not that much.
Just while we're on the fire department, the equipment maintenance, line 524021, expended $5,000. And I assume that's the repairs on the trucks? Is that,
So I think that repairs of trucks is usually under vehicle maintenance.
oh, okay.
So under the equipment maintenance, I didn't look this one up specifically, but it has a transfer that's usually a carryover encumbrance. So it looks like the carryover encumbrance was done and then was paid for, so that's why the $500 budget went to $9,000 and then they spent the $5,000. So I think they haven't actually spent any of the original.
One question on it. With the fire department and that damage to the truck and to the doorway, they took care of it out of their own expenses. Would that be the line item they used?
I'm not positive which line item they used. I would assume they used vehicle maintenance, but.
Well, shouldn't the, through the chair once again, shouldn't we have been informed about what they spent and what line item it came out of?
If you want, I can look it up. It was very minor, like $3,000.
Again, shouldn't we have been informed?
Do you want me to inform you?
It's up to the chairman, but I'm asking, you
I
know.
think we need to ask. I don't think we need to be informed about every little thing, but if we have a question, we can certainly.
Well, if they have money to spend from a line item, unless it's unanticipated, in an unanticipated degree, they didn't have to go to the insurance company, thank God, knock wood, but I'd like to know where they can come up with $3,000. I can't come up with it, and I'm a businessman.
They have vehicle repairs. These are
Well, that's
all-
why I asked if that was where they took it out of.
Well, we'll find out.
I can look that up and report back.
It can be out of the vehicle maintenance, because that's still.
That's what I
zero.
asked.
Spending it on that.
But we're in charge of the buildings. If they damage the building, again,
Yeah.
Okay, so we can look that one up. On page, are we on page 20? So this looks weird because, again, we encumbered money, so that's why it looks like it's been paid out. So we paid, so take the wire inspector, we paid the 1825, but 1825 had been encumbered, so really it just works out again.
Through the chair. Mr. Wilson, this new policy that's set up with how the inspectors are being paid, is it costing the town more money set up this way than it was in the past, or?
No, so this is a carryover from last year. So right now, if a resident has a permit or whatever, the resident's essentially paying for the inspector. Every once in a while, the town may request an inspection that
Is
is
not
not related
charged.
to a permit or something like that. So at the October town meeting, we put aside a little bit of money for that, $50 a month. So to answer your question, no, it's not costing us more
Okay.
money. And then we had a part-time clerk in the office covering it for an employee that was out, that in October, the town meeting appropriate additional money.
through the chair, one question. On page 21, dog officer, I don't see any expenses here for animal care or feeding.
You're jumping ahead. We're still
Yeah,
previous page.
so I'll finish on page 20, we had the nuisance property, so, there was $30,000 that was encumbered to pay for tearing it down the building on 340 East Main, which is now for auction, if any of you are interested.
Back to the part-time clerk.
Yeah.
Just a side question, on the senior work program, how is that going to appear?
So that'll actually just be an abatement, so that's actually not on the budget.
Okay, okay. So wherever they're used, whether it be school,
Yeah, we won't see it. It'll just be, we set aside an overlay amount, so it comes from there.
you had a question about the Don
Yeah,
officer?
Don.
I would good.
Okay, no question.
Did you, I don't know. You had a question, but you never asked it.
I asked about the expenses for care and feeding.
Yeah, for like
of animals.
food and stuff, I'd have to look it up to confirm, but I'm assuming that comes from other charges and expenses.
I see her on the road constantly.
Yeah, through the chair, she does work 24/7. But I know that I personally work with fundraising, and a lot of the food and a lot of everything comes from just donations, not through the town. So that's how we keep up with, and we're so far above every other town and how well we take care of
Well,
our.
I know she's got 16 chickens, so she's not gonna run out of eggs, or unless they're all roosters.
They are roosters.
Okay, let's see where, yeah, I'm skipping to page 27, if anyone had any questions in between. So again, the senior center has electricity and heating, and then the Marble House, that's where the veterans are, that again is the heating, electricity. Library, on page 29, they spent half of their budget on materials. That's pretty typical. They buy a lot of it every year. All right, so we are on page, this is 33. So Neil, I don't think I ever answered your question. So you understood, well enough to be understood, on the assessments?
Yeah, that should only be like 25% used rather than 100%, because these are only by quarters, based on,
It's showing 100% use because there is no budget there, because the budget is not technically appropriated. So, yes, that is 25% of what our state assessment is.
right.
Okay, the next one, health insurance. So Earl asked for, chairman of the board, asked for an update on how that's running, so I'll hand this out. So this is for July, August, and September.
Thank you.
So if you look at this, the very first one in July. So this is, it shows how many individuals we had on the insurance plans and how many families. Then if you take those numbers and times them by our monthly rates, you get the 490. So that's how much got paid into the health insurance. And the expected claims were about 434,000.
To the chair, second. Mr. Willardson, for years we attempted, or we were told, that we cannot separate in the budget or on our tax rolls, what is expended or collected for the schools and what is for the town. That there has to be combined in our taxes, and can't do that. But in the health insurance, is there a way we can say that 22% of it is town employees and 68% of it is school, so people know exactly where and what's going on?
Yeah, so we actually have to submit it to the state, the net school spending, so you have to estimate, it's not always an estimate, for health insurance it can be pretty accurate, but then you also take a portion of like administrative time here in like the accountant and treasurer's office, and there's a report that does exactly what you're saying.
Yeah, but it would be nice for us to know where our health insurance money is being spent and in what area. You know, if it's, for God forbid, if it's our employees on the town side, then something has to be done. And if it's on the school side, again, something has to be done, at least looked into. But when it's all bunched like this,
Yeah, I mean, the budget is gonna be all on the town side.
I know the budget's on the town side, but like I said, in other states, we can take out the school budget and show what percentage is going to the school and what's going to the town side. This is the only state that I know of that doesn't allow that.
Yeah, so don't tell Ted or anyone in the school department this, but I prefer to have it on the town side, because if it was on the school side and first, if it was running well, they could just spend that money and whatever. So I'd rather have
I leave the money on the town side. I just like to know if we're spending it on the school side or on the town side.
Yeah, but if you want to know how much of it is going to the schools, that's.
Percentage-wise, yeah, I would like to know. I don't know about the rest of the board.
Through the chair, what is the fiscal year for the insurance?
The fiscal, it's,
You know, and like you said, on the reissuance, if somebody expends over $100,000 a year, are they measuring a calendar year, or is it?
it's fiscal.
It is a fiscal year. So is that a carryover from a prior year, or?
So it can, it's HIPAA classified, so I don't.
Yeah, I know, but,
I think it was bills that we came due with and got paid up, so.
okay.
Okay, thank you.
Unused sick leave and earned vacation payments under employee benefits. We'll need to cover this, so we have, as you know, 2 officers pass away, and so those are the payouts for their good time. And that's it on the general fund, the sewer, everything looks fine, and sand and water, everything.
Set on that.
So I ran, combined all the reports for the electricity, and we have spent about 15% of the total electricity budgets, and 3% of the heating fuel budget. So that makes
How much on the heat?
3%.
3?
3.
That's over the summer.
Have we signed any contracts for that 0.099% yet?
For the electricity,
Yeah.
so I signed a contract with the person that will go out and procure the energy costs for us, so.
They were anticipating electric going up to 14 cents in the next 6 months.
So National Grid just came out with their new rates, and I think they were at 12%.
They're pushing 14.5, I got a letter today.
So, not the first vote, that's kind of a long process, probably 6 months. So the next item, unappropriated free cash.
I just got the financial calendar review.
Oh, sorry. Well, I'll start that.
And I'm thinking that we should probably look a month behind instead of looking ahead. Like, we should probably look at October to see.
If October is done.
Right.
I agree with you.
Yeah, we can do both. So you have, are you looking at the spreadsheet?
The calendar, musical calendar.
Yeah. Are you looking at the nice one that Sarah prepared for us?
Yes.
Yeah, I actually didn't bring it.
I didn't bring mine either.
Well, let's see what, let's see, town meeting. Submit department budgets, see, this is off, because you haven't,
Yeah, I mean, we have the budget memo ready to go out to department heads, but I'm honestly not going to do it. So I'll send it out in the next week or so,
Yeah.
and then they'll have through the holidays.
and for October, it also had Schedule A going out to the BLS.
Yep.
That's gone.
So I can't remember if that actually was submitted or not. So we're actually sitting very, very well. The tax reclassification hearing is Monday.
Yeah.
So all the recap process we did this week. So we should be ready for that. And
Drum roll.
Yeah.
it's a very exciting meeting.
But is that is an improvement over prior years though, right?
Yeah, so, I think last year was December 5th. That was my first weekend.
So I think that's pretty much,
So, I actually had to give a lot of credit to the assessor and the accountant. They were very much on the ball and got this done.
okay, now the unappropriated free cash balance.
So,
Oh, we don't want to
Just-
vote in November, we're just gonna do it, correct?
Right.
Yeah,
so, on the calendar for November, it's basically the recap, so
okay.
that'll be done on Monday. So on here, we have what was proposed at the town meeting that was actually approved for the free cash. So we spent 1.2 at the town meeting. So below I have just kind of placeholders for what I'm looking at the future.
Gotcha.
So for capital or other projects, about $600,000. The health claims, additional money for a premium holiday, I have $375. Depending on how this report looks in 6 months,
Yeah.
we can adjust that. Put $200,000 in for the budget, to, if there's anything that's extreme that needs to be fixed. And for snow, for instance. And then, when I was reading through our financial policies, I remember I'm just supposed to save some. So, I have right now, this is a placeholder, $250,000 to devolve the next year, so we'll have something to start with. And that also acts as like, a little bit of a stabilization. I mean, you're not putting it in stabilization, but in an emergency, that money's available. At least for it'll expire end of June, but then when it's certified.
Yeah, yeah.
But we're still, excuse me, through the chair, we're still owed money for 2016 and 2017 in free cash, correct?
So the free cash all rolls up, so,
we'll be looking pretty good by 2019.
Well, so 2018 was
Depends on
great.
what you
numbers. I
consider
mean,
pretty good.
The free cash that was certified in October was great.
Well, if the DOR gets off their butt, yeah.
Well, yeah, we got almost 2.7 certified, which, I mean, that built up over a couple of years, so don't expect 2.7.
Well, I think when you take away what was put back, that was taken out, it's really not that much over a 3-year period.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
No, that is true. It's just, it's about what it was.
So, I think the point is, you know, this year, when we reflect back at 217 free cash, it's not gonna be a big windfall, a big amount.
Yeah,
Well, the free cash that was certified was for FY
7. I mean,
16.
it's for the close of,
June 30th.
yeah, June 30th of 7.
FY
Of
16 to
17.
be used to
No,
apply to
of 17 or 16?
15, I thought it was.
7.
17.
To be applied.
No.
Yeah.
That was,
So,
well-
what they said was FY 17's closed, you had.
Oh, that's right, we're in 18, never mind.
right.
So we're, anyway,
Yeah.
the next one was stabilization, so we had 723,000 in stabilization, then we added 534,000 at town meeting, and that brought it to 1.257 million, which is just under 3% of the town budget. And the financial policies, I think we said, our goal is 5 to 8%.
Do those funds accrue?
The stabilization, yeah, the interest,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh,
But, we're limited where we can invest, so don't expect it. The DOR report, so status update, we, every time I talk to them, it's like, oh, yeah, it's here in a couple of weeks. So, but a couple of weeks ago when I talked to them, they had drafted a report and it was, sent up to their bosses to approve, so they're getting close. We have, set aside December 6th as a meeting date, for the board, and I'm trying to coordinate to make sure everything like that.
and the DOI hasn't committed to that yet, right?
Not fully, but that's,
To the chair.
That's the goal.
they're working on
To the chair. There are a lot of private citizens calling the DOR. Some of the
it.
information, some of the information coming out of there, is a little bit off the wall. But from what I was made to understand, they should be complete by the 30th of this month or the 3rd of next month, the latest, is what the latest I've heard. I spoke to a member of the board, and like you said, Wednesday the 6th is tentatively scheduled for the DOR to be present and give a full report. And what happens if the DOR is not ready Wednesday the 6th?
Well, I'll talk to the chair of the board, but I presume there's postponement of a few days. I don't see reason that it should be postponed.
Well, it's supposed to, a lot's supposed to go on at that particular meeting, and I'm just wondering if the DOR is not ready, will you still hold that meeting?
I think the bulk of that meeting is to review the DOR report, so. It's the chair of the board of selectmen's meeting, but if that report's not ready, I don't think it'll be.
Chair will be back from California by then, so.
So, just so everyone knows, anyone that's listening, maybe the 3 people that are listening, I don't see any private citizens do not need to be calling the DOR. I don't think that's gonna help anyone. It's just gonna distract them, so.
Well, you know, for our sake, they shouldn't really be doing it. They have no status, and then they come back with what they were told, and you get 4 different stories, because they spoke to 4 different people in 4 different departments, and some in Worcester and some in Boston, which throws the whole complex of the picture out of whack.
Yeah, so we're all working to get it at the beginning of December, so that should be.
And just put yourself in their shoes, if you got, you know, umpteen residents in the town.
Yeah,
calling you,
that's what I'm
how are you
saying.
gonna feel about that situation, you know?
You know,
And it's true, you call one person, the local office, and one person in Boston, they're.
everyone's concerned about the finances of the town of Webster, but there are mechanisms in place, and there are behind the scenes things that are happening that they shouldn't even be involved in. And, you know, it'd be nice to get the word out, hey, you wanna know anything, you ring your phone off the hook.
Sure. But yeah, no, certainly it's better to call my office than the people. So the water treatment plant update, so the funding got approved at the town meeting. We forwarded all the paperwork to the trust, the Clean Water Trust. We got that back, executed it this week, so we should be able to execute the contract and move forward and get their 700 days.
And that trust was actually limited to the 10,
Just a bit,
couldn't just add the 350 on.
yeah. Maybe we won't need the extra.
Yeah, I know.
On that water treatment plant, I posted on social media a letter from the state, which stated in 1993, they upgraded the Clean Water Act of 1974 not to include chemicals. Our state one does not include chemicals, and it does stipulate that people are entitled to clear, clean water. If the state is mandating clear, clean water, and it was approved, and it's still the law, and they're citing it's still a law, why can't we get any funding from the state for that water treatment plant or our pipes?
Yeah, well, the trust fund is their funding mechanism for it, is to give you a no interest loan. And, there's ability to ask for, principal waivers, that's not very common.
And we're pitted against I mean, that trust, that fund is only so
Yeah,
much, and they only,
There's lots of other communities that have the same problem.
Yeah, but
so we were on a list, and although we think it's critical, I mean, comparatively, it's hard to say, are we at the top?
Would you see some of those pictures, of how black the water
I've
is?
seen it from other towns, too.
I'm on well water, thank God. I'm clear of what's going on within the town itself, but it is hard. I would not drink that water. I wouldn't even give it to my animals.
I would put a filter on my house if I had that
Filter ain't gonna do any good.
water. It certainly
Makes a
will.
big difference.
It makes a big difference.
Yes, it does.
It doesn't come out brown.
The library, Neil, do you have?
I've got, no, I'm gonna pass out the budget that I got, back on, October, 11th, that's the latest. I thought you would have newer information based on the 30, I think the biggest thing right now is the 3739 Nigger Street property. Where that stands, I still see there's tenants in there. Based on the meeting, they have until December 1st, 2nd to be out of there.
Yeah, that's, they, 120 days, so the 120 days is December 1st or 2nd. Yeah.
And that looks like that will happen.
So, I mean, the law at that point allows us just to evict them. So, one's supposed to be moving out this weekend, the other one's supposed to be, it keeps changing, but, one's supposed to be out by the 16th.
Yeah.
We're working on it.
Okay. And any word on hazardous material?
So there's an asbestos team that's gonna go in as soon as they're ready.
You have to wait until they're out of there, and they'll be going in.
Right, that's the latest budget, I don't have a budget
Yeah. Figure we got a meeting coming up next week.
And is that
Tuesday.
really a showstopper, getting them out of the building? I know it, I mean, I don't see them.
That, from what we were told, 3739 does not have any influence on the construction of the library itself.
But I mean, the overall project timeline, I mean, I don't know how long it takes to knock buildings down, but I've seen it done
Yeah,
reasonably quick in other.
Yeah, that shouldn't, that's not supposed to interfere with the
The
construction,
overall
yes.
Deadline date for the.
Right, for the
was
the
it
library
probably-
itself,
They still
yes.
shooting for May?
You know, if they have to go a year, 2 years before they can develop that.
Yeah, I think it'll be done roughly the same.
Yeah.
Like if they're moving books into the building
Yeah.
and finishing up,
Yeah,
right?
right.
That works out really well.
Yeah.
Really that much parking needed for that library? Most of it's walk-in. I've been here 40 years and I've never seen that parking lot full. There's always been only 2 or 3 cars back there.
Well,
30
it's
is-
an awesome new building we have.
And at times it, you know, I've been there at times where the parking lot, I wouldn't say it's, you know, there's probably 1 or 2 spaces.
Like I said, I've used the library quite
They
often
hold
until
special-
recently, and I very seldom saw more than 2 cars, 3 cars back there.
They hold special events occasionally, and there's a meeting room, and so there's times when it does.
Through the chair, I think it's 30 spaces was mandated, was it not?
Yeah. Yeah, and I can't remember if they even got a variance just to have the 30.
I mean, even our planning board, kind of mandated 30 parking spaces
Yeah.
for the approval of that building, so.
You're gonna have to have more accessible parking too,
Right.
which definitely we can do that before.
Okay, next item, geez, I hope Sarah's okay, I heard her. Next item on the agenda is the Finance Committee mission statement, goals and guidelines review. I think we should start with the mission statement, to provide financial leadership to town government and town meeting. I think that still holds unless anybody has any. And to achieve this mission, the committee reviews and considers any and all matters which may have a long or short-term fiscal impact on the town, and communicates with other town boards, departments, employees, and members of the public for the purpose of gathering relevant and accurate information for evaluation, debate, formulation of a recommendation. I don't see any, does anybody see any need to revise that? And again, we had guiding principles that we established, treat all departments, committees, and individuals respectfully, and do that consistently. Second, focus on the fiscal aspect of all town issues and remain neutral to the politics of issues.
Through the chair, can we have punctuation comments here? Is that
Oh, sure,
okay?
yeah.
I'm the Harvard comma, committees, comma, and individuals.
Committees, commas.
The Oxford comma.
Yeah, and individuals, okay, so it's 1 comma? 1 comma added?
Correct.
Okay.
It means something different without
Okay.
it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Same issue, top.
There's a big court case one on that.
Does that
Excuse
book
me.
eat, shoots, and leaves?
Yes.
Yeah.
Same.
The third is make recommendations that will serve to maintain and increase trust and respect, paving the way for voter support for future decisions. I don't know if we need to keep that in there, I mean, how does everybody?
The only problem we ever had, and it was 13 years ago, the selectman and the moderator were tweaking each other by not making their appointments. And we were running with a 5-man elected board. And I don't think that was personality conflict between 6 people, and that had nothing to do with the finance board. So I don't know, I don't think you need that in there.
Does anybody have any other? I think it could be deleted myself. I think we've gone beyond that. Anybody have any objection to removing that? I'm gonna be reviewing this every year if possible. The next bullet is to maintain strong fiscal discipline and continue to emphasize the importance of ample reserves. I think that still holds water. And the last is maintain professionalism in all matters, comma, media postings, comma, newspaper, comma, emails, comma, and any correspondence as they relate to town departments, including the finance committee and the finance committee, its members, or any town employee.
I'd like to go back and make recommendations. And the question I had in regards to removing that is, the board is, the finance committee is a recommendation board, so do we need that, some type of language that supports that concept?
Well, we cover that in the mission statement to formulate recommendations. So I think it's just repetitive. I think the, it was gaining the trust and respect was the highlight of that statement, I think, yeah. Next is the goals. I think there's some changes there. I think we've first should,
Earl, can I interrupt, sorry?
yeah.
So I know a lot of places, and my last job was very much like this, that the administration and the finance committee kind of have an adversarial relationship.
Yeah.
Which I think you that it's not like that here. Is there some sort of, something we can put in about that, like working together with administration to make things good? No. No? Okay. Well, okay.
Well, I think on our, again,
Cross-functional
I think to achieve the mission, the committee reviews and considers all matters which have long and short-term fiscal impact, and communicates with other town boards, departments, employees, and members of the public for purpose of gathering. Does that not cover?
Well, I mean, that is what it is. I feel like it's a good relationship and,
Do we need to make it more declarative?
You want us to put TA in it?
Yeah, cross-functional collaboration.
So what are you proposing? Under guiding principles?
Facilitate cross-functional collaboration
Okay,
between and among.
hold on.
Facilitate
No, I'm gonna put it.
cross-functional collaboration.
Got
Within and
collaboration.
among?
Yeah, between and among committees and administrative functions, is that what you're thinking?
where's the compliment?
Isn't all
Between
this
and among committees and administration? Committee and administration?
Yeah, maybe administration better.
Isn't all this covered in our financial handbook and state guidelines for finance committees? Exactly what we can do.
But this is
I think our
our,
mission statement
this
here
is our
is only
mission,
a
this committee.
repetition.
No, it's not. Not
You don't think
totally.
so?
And it puts it in the forefront that we review every year. It's sort of a check mark and not something that, oh, I saw that 3 years ago, I think, in some publication. So it's something, it's a living document that we sort of review every year. It's kind of a check, a reminder.
The only thing I really can see and am a little bit disturbed by for years is we neglect to place on the agenda for the following meeting what we requested at the meeting prior. And we wind up 6 months later saying, oh, by the way, we asked it for this. Anybody know what happened to
You're
it?
jumping ahead. There's an article, on the agenda for tonight, discuss method to track follow-up reporting. That's what you're talking about.
We do that on purpose, though.
Okay, so goals, work with the town financial team to stabilize the tax rate, was a goal for last year. Work with the town financial team to minimize year-to-year tax rate changes and avoid large tax rate swings. Next was develop and maintain a 3 to 5 year planning horizon. I think we've made strides in that area. Assist in development of capital budget plan. I think we're on that path. Strive to provide the public with timely and efficient financial information to assist in their decision-making process.
And I think we've made strides in that regard.
Yeah, and I think we still have
Yeah.
a ways to go, but yeah. So, does anybody have any new goals? It's something we've talked about, but I'd like to put it in writing this year to establish a liaison for capital projects. Goal to continue that for the coming year. And I'm wondering if this is a good place to work within open meeting law requirement, as a committee, work within open meeting law requirements.
I might make a suggestion to just add that to assist in development by
System development.
by
of a
appointing
capital-
a liaison
Oh, what?
instead of making it a new goal.
Okay.
You know what I
Well, isn't
mean?
it two different things though? Aren't we doing a capital plan and we're gonna get into that a little bit? This is two separate things. It's a capital plan,
Capital
And
plan
for
and
each
budget and
capital
projects are
plan.
two different
Yeah,
entities.
that's what I think too.
Okay.
Through the chair.
All right, I got it. So, yeah, that actual project versus.
Yeah, what's
so
the project?
Library project.
The
versus
water, the
Yeah.
library, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's a new one. Any to take off? I think the first two, work with the town financial team to stabilize the tax rate and also work with, to minimize the tax, I think maybe.
That's
Those are-
the same thing.
Those are what we're
Right.
supposed to do.
Huh?
Those are kind of givens for the committee, but
Right,
it
but
doesn't hurt to have them in
I
writing.
think it could be condensed into one bullet too.
I
don't
think so.
True.
we should, you know.
My personal preference would be to reduce the tax rate.
Well, here we say minimize the year-to-year tax rate changes, so we all know that taxes are gonna go up.
I don't know that we all know.
Oh, okay. We have our hopes, but,
So, and
So
the tax rate is just like a formula. I mean, if you
it's
want.
nothing you have a lot of influence.
Yeah, if you want influence, you gotta influence the spending side.
Right, right.
Because, say everyone's assessed value skyrocketed, you'll
Right.
still be paying a lot more taxes, but your tax rate will drop a lot.
What town, through the chair, what town just increased it by 2 cents? There was a town, I think in today's paper, there was a town that just increased their tax rate by 2 cents.
We only increased ours by
1 cent last year.
Yeah.
I'm okay
I
with,
won't tell you because you have to anticipate eagerly what will happen on Monday.
Do we need anything on here about publishing our recommendations? I know it depends on, you know.
well, that's in the charter. That's in the charter. I don't think that would duplication. So I'm thinking, I'm leaning, yeah.
Do you want to add anything about building up reserves?
Stabilization fund.
I think the selectmen took care of that with the 30%. Should have been 33, but didn't they take care of it with the the recommendation of 30%
Finance.
They haven't-
free cash
they
cost
haven't-
stabilization?
They haven't acted on those financial.
They haven't acted on it yet?
No. Should we put something about that in there as a goal? Maybe as the committee, take another pass through them?
Well, should we, I mean, do you
We
think?
can talk about that, you can put that as a goal, we're gonna talk about that in a minute.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we can go back and add it if we'll see where that goes. Okay, so I got,
We should put some stuff that's really easy to do on there.
right, right. So I've got this, I've deleted the first two, stabilize the tax rate, and again, that's, yeah. And also work with minimize the year-to-year rate swings. Again, I think that's probably beyond our control. But I've got develop and maintain 5-year plan, rise and assist in the development of a capital budget plan. Create liaisons for capital projects. What was the last one? Yeah.
Did we get down to strive with public in a timely and sufficient manner yet?
Yeah.
We're right there.
Yeah.
You're right there? Can we post once a month
Post what?
on the town website? The achievements or goals of that we've accomplished that month on the finance matters, if any? Keep them up to date?
I think our minutes are getting posted anyway.
They are.
Yeah, but
They are.
you want to capsulize it for those people that aren't reading our minutes. It's a suggestion, that's it.
Yeah. I don't know if it's a lot of work for not.
Well, the template that I gave you has like different sections, decisions made, so you can change your minutes into having that little subject there.
Well, let's get back to that. But as far as this as written, strive to provide the public with timely and sufficient financial information to assist in their decision-making process.
I think we're still striving to that, because the reason
Yeah.
we put it in there is because we were getting information last minute.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So, any other goals? Is that, I've got 5 listed. Okay, let's move on to rules. I think rule number 1, I think there was a time and a place for that. I don't think we need to include that any longer.
Say what?
Rule number 1,
About written
I
For
think
all
communication.
that
written
was a
communications.
specific time, place for
Well,
the need
that's
to
so it
do
would all
that.
be funneled through you.
Right, but there was a reason for that.
Well, do we want,
I
through
still,
the chair, do we want,
I don't think it's happening now, let's put it
no,
this way.
because we got a rule.
right.
No, I'm saying I don't think this is being abided by now. People are going to you.
Well,
Yeah.
nobody from the finance committee is.
Yes.
The only time we had a problem, when we had subcommittees, and then the subcommittees went to the different departments. But we don't have subcommittees, so nobody should be running to the departments.
Yeah, I'm not,
No, this is
I-
talking
I'm
about
fine with that one.
written communication.
I think it should go through, to me personally, I think either the chairman or the vice chair should be going to the town administrator for information that the finance committee is seeking. I don't feel like each one of us should be running to him because I might get some information and not share it with you.
Oh, yeah, no, I know, but.
But that's
I-
what
I'm
this
sa-
rule
That's
number
what it
one-
implied, but I don't think it's being administered.
Well, I
Oh.
think I don't think we want to lose the rule, though, because I think
Okay.
the goal
Yeah.
of the rule is
If
still,
I
Somebody
may,
violating the
can
rule.
we
I
just
mean,
take out all written
Yeah, that,
and leave the rest, any communications? If I want to know about insurance or fire engine backing up into a building, I'll come to the chair or the vice chair, they'll go to the proper source, which is the fire department, and then get back to the committee or to the person involved. It doesn't have to be written communications. I'd just take the written out of there, I'd leave the rest alone.
does everyone agree with that?
yeah, I think that's fine. But I think it's important that you know what communications are happening as
Yeah.
the chair.
Oh, I agree with
Okay.
that 100%.
I think we should leave the
We
rule.
guys not talk to you.
Yeah,
So we're gonna delete written communications?
we're gonna delete written, all communication.
Okay.
So now it's all encompassing.
And I think any member who misses 6 or more consecutive meetings, that's in the charter, so I don't think.
It is in the charter now? Okay.
Sorry, yeah.
I'd like to put something in here more about rules too, because I think, this might be a segue into discussions you had at the meeting that you went to, for finance committees. But, I think we should incorporate some rules in here about open meeting law, and, we all know that emails even are,
Subject to.
subject to open meeting law and disclosure. I'm wondering, I do and I have been, I put my emails in, I have files, finance committee, whatever other committee, so on and so forth, and I keep all my emails there. So that it wasn't hard for me to produce, we were requested to produce emails at one point in time, about a year ago.
Just about.
Yeah, public information, so, that's why I'm wondering, it's probably news to you, and it comes, as we review this, rules once a year, so I think it should be put in here that our emails, it's recommended that you create files, folders for FinCom or whatever committee the committee you might be on, so that it can be reproduced at any request.
Is it possible to is there one town email address we can add that it can be saved on the town servers so that we're sure that it's backed up and whatever the communications, so as you send stuff out, it's just saved on the
We
town
don't
server?
all have town
No,
emails.
if you just added that particular town email.
That's actually a really good idea.
Oh.
I mean, so, if everyone just, it doesn't even have to be a town email, because actually we don't take those, so.
Yeah.
What if we just got like an email that said, finance committee, and everyone always copy that in on it, then you just have.
My finance committee folder has in it questions that private citizens have asked of the finance committee, myself, or have passed on, and you or another member here has passed on. So I'll bet I got a couple of thousand emails in my account. But I take, if a private citizen sends me an email saying, hey, what's going on with the town budget, and what's going on with the DOR, and I heard this, I heard that, I take that, I put that in the finance committee folder. I put everything in the finance committee folder. So if you asked me to give you a copy of certain emails, it would take me about 1 year and 4 days to find the ones you want. I'd have to give you all 8,000 of them.
So, through the chair,
So
so from.
are you suggesting that we should have a separate folder just for the committee?
So from discussions at that meeting, the statewide finance meeting, if you are discussing something with a quorum of us, or you're replying back and forth with us, those are subject to retention. If it's you talking to Jill, your neighbor, that's yours.
I saved that anyway.
Right, but so what we need from, and, I mean, I don't know.
So you want a separate folder?
If you're having any communications that involve multiple ones of us, at least a quorum, those have to be retained.
Okay, the law goes beyond that. I think we've requested for any and all communications between us as a committee and town employees.
Okay, that was asked there, and, well, not town employees, but the communications with one or more people versus one or more in the quorum.
Well, we had legal, I'm
Okay.
just going by, there was legal disclosure.
There will be 9 to 15 members. Isn't that the jurisdiction of the chairman at the time and the secretary to save those, and not all 9 to 15 members?
No.
If you're
If you don't
included,
send me something, how can I keep it?
Well, we're talking about the quorum gets it. She's saying that the
Yeah,
quorum
yeah,
gets it.
I don't think it's.
it was requested.
You're talking about if
You
a quorum
can't
gets it.
respond, you can't communicate as a, like, if I blast something out to all of you, and you start, well, I think this, and I think that, and it amounts to a quorum, then that's wrong.
discussion.
Mhm.
And that, you know, I've tried to restrict myself to sending stuff out without expecting a reply. It's more for informational,
Right.
and that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm of the understanding I still have to retain that, and it's still subject to open meeting law.
Yeah, but it doesn't violate the open meeting law.
No, but it's subject to
Yes,
recall,
right.
you know. And I have a responsibility to maintain that.
Mhm.
And just like if, you know, you talk to Doug, or send an email, or to anybody, you have to keep that.
Right.
I think you have to separate, if you're acting as a member of the finance team to give information that is probably something probably known by any member of the finance team, and you're giving that to a private citizen, I do believe that is subject to recall.
I would assume so, because you're acting in your.
You're acting on, you're not acting as Mike, you're acting as Mr. Finnemore of the Finance Committee. And if you're giving a finance, information that's known by the Finance Committee and not the general public, then I think you have a responsibility to retain that in that folder. It's your judgment, you know, if you're just, you know, passing on information that's, you know more things, but if it's not within the Finance Committee, if somebody asks you things about some other department.
John Jones from down the street sent you an email today. What went on at the finance committee? I heard this, and you
Yeah.
replied.
Yeah.
That's what you're saying must be maintained by you.
Yes.
And if you
Or if somebody-
reply and you say, the agenda was X, Y, Z, that's it.
Keep that.
So if someone asks that question, that's the email.
You can say the agenda
You
was
put in a separate folder
this,
and
this,
maintain
this.
it.
And then that's just informational.
Okay. That's what I want to clarify.
Don't give opinions, nothing.
So back to the question, do we, retention of emails, does that need to be written as a rule?
Yes, I would put it there. Well, I do like that idea of, for all the emails that we get with the agendas, just maybe starting a Gmail account and putting in our group email blast so that those automatically get sent over there.
Well, I can certainly create the account and distribute it to everybody,
And that way, just all those monthly emails.
but it's up to you to send it to that email.
Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, really, there should be very few emails between, it's just coordinating dates is all you're actually coordinating dates.
Right, there's not, yeah, and it's just disseminating information of files or
Yeah.
documents, agendas,
Yeah.
minutes, and so.
Or when I try to send you guys something in preparation for the meeting.
Right.
Yeah. So I'll set up a Gmail account.
I get terribly excited when you send me an email I think I did something wrong. Please be advised, and then I open it up.
And members, should I actually go, will that'll negate the need for maintaining a separate email.
As long as they're all copied to it.
Right,
I'm sorry?
As long as they're all copied to it.
Right,
that nobody responds to you personally
yeah.
or whatever.
We could just forward the
Yeah,
emails.
right, just forward it.
I'd maybe put something that says that, as a rule that, if you're acting in your capacity as a member of the finance committee, then you must maintain all.
In this folder.
Yeah.
Separate folder.
Okay, I will do that. Anything else?
Did you want to add anything about retention in conversations on social media? Because, for example, the residents forum, if you were posting anything up there and acting in a capacity or knowledge of the finance committee, that is subject to retention as well. And I know that Mr. Mullins deletes posts, so it's up to you to save or take a screenshot of whatever comments or.
99% of the stuff posted on social media is public information already.
But they can be
It gets
deleted.
out there,
It's deleted.
and
It's deleted.
You can delete it.
I don't think you can delete it. It's the person who's running that webpage deletes it.
I think you can delete it.
You can delete your comment. You can go back and delete your own comment.
Oh, you want
And- Or
to
if I
delete
send
your-
something
Your
to
own
the
comments,
body,
you
you
can-
can
Yeah,
delete your body.
yeah.
You
Right.
can't delete somebody else's post.
Huh?
You cannot delete someone else's post.
No, not
No,
somebody
no,
else's,
right.
yeah.
But you can delete your comments.
Yeah.
But the admin can delete your
Yes,
comments.
you're right.
Or say,
Yeah.
I make a comment and 3 of you reply, and I go, oh, I don't want that, I deleted, all of your comments are gone.
Yeah, right. So it's getting so complicated.
It is.
Social media makes it that way.
So, so what is the rule then?
If you're
Be
on-
careful.
If you're acting in a capacity of a town committee, then you must take screen
Or
screen captures.
responding in the
Yeah.
capacity. Responding or posting in the capacity of a
Is
finance
this in the
committee
social
member,
media?
That makes
of a committee member.
It's gonna make it difficult because
Can you just say everyone should retain, everyone needs to retain everything, to be compliant, something like that, but, you know. Because if someone doesn't want to keep things separate folders, I don't keep a folder like a search by name.
Yeah,
That's how I do it.
the other alternative is to refrain from acting as a member of the finance
Finance
committee
committee,
on
yeah.
social media.
No,
That's right.
Absolutely.
I think that's what the selectmen did.
Huh?
I think they talked about that at one point, was making sure that,
Yeah.
they were one, not posting the same, threads and then.
And I'll post things like for more informational type, you know, a reminder for the hearing or something like that, or, you know, public hearing on the budget or something, I'll post that on social media.
The guy from the state at that meeting did say something about, if you were replying, even if you said, I'm replying not as an agent of the finance committee, but as Laura Backus, it doesn't matter.
If it's finance committee,
Even if I'm just saying,
Matter.
oh, I hate the water.
yeah.
Is it private citizen?
Yeah, it doesn't, it's still subject to retention because of our positions.
We're on slippery slopes over there.
The state's still trying to figure, the state's really trying to figure this one out, and that's what they're even confused.
Yeah, I think this is in flux and
Yeah.
it's, yeah.
And they said, you know, just err on the side of caution, we're trying to work through this.
That might be a good thing to insert in the, when in question, err on the side of caution.
It's also a double-edged sword though, because if someone raises something, and then we don't wanna reply because we're
Right.
this, and that's sitting out there, and everyone's.
Don't be
saying that, we're
tempted.
just Ignoring the,
Ignoring or condoned?
Don't take the bait.
Okay, anything else? Well, set? Okay. Well, next thing, feedback on this, we've already covered most of it. Feedback on
it.
this year's ATFC meeting?
The handbook is downloadable.
Yes, I copied this.
Okay. I printed it.
There's a website, you can download the newly revised handbook for finance committee members.
If you want me to print a copy for you, so you don't kill your personal printer.
Yeah, I think it's like
Such a nice-
60-something pages.
If I try to print more than like 3 pages, I won't.
Yeah.
It's 156, but if you double-side it, then it's ugly.
I had to hand eat it.
That's this one right here?
Anything else on the ATFC? I'm
No,
sorry.
but this one right here?
Yeah, you just punch that in
Sure.
your browser
Mm-hmm.
and you can download it. It's case sensitive and everything, so it's caps and lowercase, so gotta do it exactly. So was there anything else on the, of interest on your meetings?
Yes, I just don't have
It was the
paperwork
most
in front of
interesting
me.
thing to me was the social media, and we'll talk all about that.
Yeah. Carol, Marchand sent me, her impressions, and I think you've all indicated to me that it's worthwhile.
It is
and
worthwhile.
informative, so for future reference, it's once a year, so it'll be coming next year. It's good to, attend, you come away with something. She also talked about the social media aspect and, the quorums and so on and so forth. But she said her second session was sort of an open, what's your town like? And I find that Webster faces many of the same struggles as many towns. Finance committees generally aren't liked. But what was stressed is it's in everyone's best interest to try and keep our sides civil. I think we are providing that to ourselves already, and we're getting more positive reactions from people being civil, so. It's good to go to see that you're not an outlier, that people are dealing with the same stuff. It's the nature of the beast, I guess.
And the mutual eye rolls are nice. I have a copy of the Beacon from that, if anybody would like it. It doesn't have it, would like to see a
Yeah.
copy.
I distribute those.
Okay.
Those are what I send out when I get them,
Okay.
so I'll send them to you. I don't know if you ever look at them, but I distribute them. I get them in
You
email.
all get a copy of the meeting? Oh, you get
No,
the
he
email?
gets the
Yeah.
email, yeah.
Not the meeting, but they have a monthly publication.
Yeah, the Beacon?
The Beacon.
Isn't that the MMA's?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah.
So if anybody would like to speak about something.
And I went to a workshop, Managing Your Town's Credit and Bond Rating. I did ask the question, on how do we get those old approved bond issuances that never,
Yeah, they get
Came to be.
borrow or something, yeah.
yeah. And they said it was fairly easy, you just have to have a town vote.
Yeah, you can just do that without me.
So maybe we should gather those up first. And put it
Yeah.
in as a warrant article so that we can get them off the books.
Yeah, we can do that. Cause I definitely there, the Park Ave school had a lot of capacity. You know, it's technically not finished, but I can look at the other ones and see what's still,
Yeah.
outstanding.
The shared services model stuff was pretty good. You're looking at a lot of that too, correct?
I'll share services with anyone.
But shared services for finance departments, fire chiefs, even selectmen, which was pretty interesting.
I think that's starting to catch a little. I think the school committee is looking for opportunities to, I mean, the school district is open to, you know, looking for sharing services.
It is all really hard to coordinate all of it though, like, you would think, oh, if we all join together, this will save money, but just, it's a long process for everybody.
It's a big effort to
Yeah.
coordinate.
Depends where your loyalties are, as to where you spend your time.
Yeah, I mean,
Does it take
not saying it's not worth doing,
Yeah.
but.
It's a power struggle and, you know, who's doing what. But you end up with, you know, a niche in each municipality that's incredible, so you may be, you know, this niche, and, you know, Charlton may be something else.
Yeah. Moving on to financial policy status update. Is it going to be reviewed by the Board of Selectmen, or what?
Yeah, so they had it, they got a copy of the review. Since they got a copy, the finance team, the staff, wanted to look at it again. So we've been looking at it. They have some minor changes, like nothing I think is consequential.
Okay.
I mean, some of it is, but, so maybe I continue to get their feedback and come back at our next meeting with the absolute final.
Well, are you still working?
No,
Yeah, we were done. I mean,
We were-
kinda said
we
this,
had the
but-
draft, we submitted it to the people in the town
Yeah,
offices,
the finance,
and they didn't have a whole lot of comment, so.
Yeah.
but since,
So,
But now they do.
Now let's get a little more serious. There's a few more comments. Nothing drastic.
Okay.
One thing I was thinking, so we do have the set aside, whatever, 30% of your free cash to go to stabilization. I think that's a good plan for now, but if, once we get in that 5 to 8% range, like,
well, yeah, there should be a
should
cutoff.
be like, yeah, so once we hit 5%, we no longer put in 30%, we drop it down to 20% or something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So maybe we add something like that.
Yes. And maybe nothing if you maintain.
Yeah, if you're at 8%, why put anything in?
Right, right.
Police school. Better.
No. Well, that's when we stabilize the tax rate.
Well,
There you go.
at least
Actually.
we have it to spend.
We level it off.
Next item is, this all goes hand in hand, discuss a method to track follow-up reporting. And what I'm talking about is at these meetings, when, you know, Doug or anybody else says, I'll get that back for next meeting. I can't remember that when I'm setting up the agenda for the next meeting. And if I don't have the minutes from the previous meeting, I don't have a memory span that long for a month.
I did not have the exact same problem, and I think back, oh, did they really want that, or did we just talk about it, and it didn't really matter, like,
Right.
by the time we got to the end of the conversation, I don't think it was really that important anymore, so.
Right. So I didn't know, you know, there's different ways to tackle this. I know Chris is taking the minutes, but I didn't know, I was gonna throw out something if we had a little sheet, that assigned one member each meeting, to just say, Doug, follow up on finance policies. This follow up on the assessors, you know, whatever. Is that something reasonable that we could have?
Yeah, maybe like
Implement.
the last couple minutes of the meeting, like, okay, what exactly did we need to follow up on?
Need a recap.
Yeah.
Or it's not a bad idea to have,
I was
like
gonna
Earl
s-
suggested, one person at each meeting say,
Yeah,
okay,
share
I'll
the
keep track of the
follow-ups.
follow-ups.
Yeah.
We could start off alphabetically,
I was gonna suggest
but that's
that,
one way to make sure that it goes along, you know?
I was gonna suggest that the follow-up be done 15 days after the meeting by that person to the chairman saying, hey,
No, I
we
think,
asked the fire department for this, and as of date, the fire department hasn't,
Oh,
come
okay.
no,
forward.
That's
all
not
that
what-
person
oh.
would
You're
do,
talking about follow-up for questions?
no,
We're talking about
the
follow-up
list. He wants a follow-up list
list.
that will
Who's
get
gonna do
handed to
what for the
him
next meeting?
at the end of the meeting so that he can
So if
make
we
sure
say the
it
chairman's
happens.
gonna talk to the firemen,
Yeah. Well, it's the same thing,
Earl talk to the firemen.
yeah.
So I'm gonna put that on the agenda for the next meeting and report on it.
I thought it was, had to do, like, if we say, Mr. Willison, we want, from the accountant, X, Y, Z.
Yes.
That's exactly.
Yeah, well,
And
that's what I
that's
said, the person that's supposed to do it,
No, the
mid-month,
person-
15 days after the request was made here at the meeting,
Oh, what
to
you-
follow
oh,
up
I
to
see
the
what you're saying.
the chairman and say that request has not come
No,
forward
we-
yet.
I think we're all
That's not the
grown-ups here.
purpose
If we
for
know that
this.
somebody's gonna do a follow-up, all we need to do is put it on the agenda. I mean, this 15-day stuff is.
Yeah.
At
If
the
you don't
meeting-
have it in 15 days, you're not gonna have it in 30.
My question is,
No, I'm gonna have it at the end of the meeting.
Now,
You think
essentially,
so?
you need your honey-do list.
Well, if we do what I'm
Exactly.
saying.
All right, well, let's try it.
It's a honey-do list.
It is.
I would just
Then he
recommend
wants
that
somebody to track
the
during the
person
meeting because
responsible
he's
for
too
making
busy
keeping
to
a
read.
list,
Right.
then just,
You hand it to
wants
the
to
chairman
follow
at the end of the
up,
meeting,
like, right.
that's all. So I know when I'm creating the agenda for the next meeting, that, oh, Doug's gonna follow up on this, I'm gonna follow up on that. Have the report, you know?
Not very good.
But if we talk about something
But
and
all
you're
we're
gonna
talking
follow
about here
up
now
on
is
something,
creating the honey-do
I
list.
hope when you walk out of the meeting, you remember what you're gonna do.
I've been married for 17 years, that list is too
You know,
long.
yeah, I don't think we need the
as long as,
15
as
days.
long as we agree to recap it at the end so that, you know,
So,
we do want Doug to look at something he knows. is
Yeah,
gonna be-
yeah.
That would be very, very helpful.
And actually, he would probably want a copy as well, so.
Yeah,
so I
yeah,
created the, well, I have the template there.
yeah.
I only created one copy, I can forward it out too, but it has a lot, subject
New
areas.
action items for next meeting.
See, I was thinking just to, you know, follow up who and
Well, that's all that
what.
goes on there, but it's all
Yeah.
on one sheet.
Yeah.
And then if you're taking notes, if there's key decisions or here's the action
Well,
items.
yeah, that's what I'm saying, I don't know that we wanna, cause that's like duplicate, I'm just thinking simple things. Like, I'll bring it back, you know, like Doug just said, I'll bring it back for next meeting. So who's ever got the sheet is gonna say, Doug, finance, policies.
Right.
That's it, 3 words.
Look up the detail
And
on
then
whatever
at the end of
account
the
it
meeting,
was
we'll
you
say, well,
said.
Doug's gonna do this, and you're gonna do that, and I'm gonna do this, and it'll be in the agenda for the next meeting,
Yeah, and they should
I'll
go
take
into
it.
the meeting notes, look
Right.
into that.
Yeah, and Christine's gonna generate her minutes
Without worrying about that.
separately.
Yeah.
I
Okay,
think someone should make a motion to go in alphabetical order.
This is why, I said-
You can start tonight, you're halfway done.
this is why I said no earlier.
so we'll have that for next meeting, I'll do that.
You're what?
I'll create
The-
take this
the
and create
list?
some, yeah, it's just something simple. Single page,
I'll do it.
Who's gonna do it tonight,
Or any action items tonight? You had one.
though? What was it?
He had a couple.
Exactly.
See,
Yeah.
I don't even know what they are.
see? That's, the problem. Now we'd have to wait till we get to the minutes. And, you know, so, this will work good. Okay, on to new business. FY19 capital planning process for the finance committee. What we've, you know, what Doug's done so far is he's captured the items, the capital items, you know, on out in time for you, you know, I forgot how far you went up through 22 or something.
So.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the 30-year version.
And so, Neil had shown me something that, I forgot what town it was it Charlton? I don't remember.
No, I think it was Salem or something like
Yeah,
that.
okay. To break it down even further and to really put some substance to it. And Doug had, in Somerville, pretty much that was his job. He showed me a booklet that he had that's pretty much, there must be a template.
Yeah, well, there's the state DOR has a capital planning thing, and they have a template for projects,
Yeah, yeah. But what was nice is, it was broken down to a piece of equipment, like
Northbrook.
the
that was
fire
Northbrook,
truck, yeah. So it had a cut sheet for the existing truck, the purchase cost, the year of purchase, the
Give a little
brief
history on
description,
it.
even a little picture of it. And just any other notes, you know, repair, you know, if it's had any repairs or, you know, significant repairs or something, you know. And then there's another section where it lists the items for that year up for capital replacement, but it also lists the anticipated cost and also the funding source. So if it's gonna be exclusion or stabilization or free cash or whatever, so that we can add up for that year, pretty much just glancing at it. You know, this year, we're gonna be, and we can project that out in time too. Next year, stabilization fund, you know, free cash, we're gonna need. So I guess what I'm saying is we gotta take this start and put it to the next level.
Retirement of debt, don't you?
Well, that
We
goes.
we were supposed to prioritize our capital improvements and set them to the retirement of debt, and that's when we were supposed to do it.
Yeah.
And it never materialized.
Well, that's what I'd like to see, you know, us working towards.
Yeah.
So that we know that we're gonna need this much capital. We might have to go to a debt exclusion in 3 years. You know, so we can project out in time where the money is gonna be looked for and what for, and so on and so forth.
Well, we should have a limit on that, no more than 5 years. I don't think we should go out any further than
Well,
5 years.
it's reviewed every year.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, 5, 8, whatever, 6, I mean.
Well,
I think realistically, 5
You
is,
just cut it off, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah. But at least, you know, with the cut sheet, you can, you know, the expected life of this fire truck is gonna be 30 years, you know, it was purchased in this year. So when the time comes, you know, you'll have some sort of,
You know it's coming up.
yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I asked the department heads to fill out basically that form.
Yeah.
And then, what if we have them do that, and I don't know if you want to have the entire board, or maybe a subset of the finance committee.
Yeah.
Review all those, and then we go through and say, I want a little more additional information on this, like,
Yeah.
we detail this out more, and then we can give the whatever additional information we want.
Yeah, till we get
Put
those,
it in, and then ideally we could have a, you know, binder published.
Yeah,
For the town
yeah,
meeting.
yeah.
I just, when I did all of it in Somerville, I swear I was the only person who ever read it, so that's just my one worry, is that you go through all the work and no one looks at it, but.
Well, I think,
Yeah, it's not really
But the
something.
process of doing it is.
Right. Yeah.
Makes-
well, through the chair, in all fairness, I think it gives the townspeople a little bit more information about why this vehicle is on its demise
Yeah.
and
Yeah,
why
it
it
just
needs to
gives
be
substance,
replaced.
yeah,
Its
to-
hours are X,
Yeah.
the average life is Y.
And I agree, I mean, they have, you know, calculators that you put in like how much do things cost and how many repairs and mileage, and they'll spit out when you think you should replace it, and
Right.
that can be part of the whole thing.
Yeah.
Right. And I think for this year, because we know, you know, the fire truck is out there, and we know that, the DPW is gonna be looking for some capital equipment. I think those are probably 2 departments that we wanna concentrate on to use as sort of the, not the guinea pigs, but the initial, in setting up the steps in the process for us. Is that reason, do you know anything else that's coming up?
The police requested some equipment, not that big stuff, though.
Yeah, but I think the DPW and fire department.
Yeah, those are the big ones.
The 2 big ones, and they always are.
you're gonna, you're gonna have an unanticipated capital improvement section of it also? If the bell tower springs a leak, or the police station blows up the air conditioning system, where that money's gonna come from?
Yeah, I mean, so in my mind, I had built in, like, I did it based on the square footage of the building, like a certain estimate, so each year, ideally, you would be saving that money, so when I got to it,
Right.
it happened.
But yeah, the idea is to have fine citizens.
To anticipate, I think,
Yeah.
as best you can. You know,
Yeah, that's what I say, unanticipated expense.
So does anybody want to work with Doug and through the department heads? This is not something that has to be done during the day. I mean, 8 to 4, I mean, it doesn't.
I'm sure Doug has a home life.
No, but Doug's here,
Yeah,
more than 8 hours a day, I think. Is that pretty routine?
yeah, and I mean, we can do it Mondays, like, I usually have a couple meetings a week, so.
Yeah.
You do it before one of those, and that
Yeah.
works out well.
I'm just saying,
I'm available 24 hours a day, 11 months out of the year.
I thought it was 10 months. Don't you think
So,
so?
what I'll do is, as part of the budget process, we'll have the operating side and also the capital, so we'll have them submit requests for that. And maybe have those due beginning of January, and so whoever is going to volunteer to work with me, which you guys don't seem all that excited.
I was hoping to get some volunteers.
We can work at that,
I thought I just
take
did.
care of that in January. We'll
Okay.
get those
I
all
s-
volunteer.
We had 2 volunteers over here.
Who?
I'll volunteer.
Oh, okay.
Anyone else, please?
I'll volunteer. I mean, the 3 of us.
Very good.
Yeah, yeah, that's not a quorum, so then.
Yeah.
Meeting at 2 o'clock on Tuesday.
I'll be going into taxes.
Just volunteer.
Okay, next item is FY19 personal employment and union employment contracts due up. I guess what I'm hoping to do is capture what's coming up in FY19.
Yes, so dispatch, theirs expires the end of June of 18, and everyone else, not everyone else, DPW, clerk, police expire the end of June 2019, and the fire ends end of June 2019. So dispatch is the only one that
Coming up for this year. And what was 2020? Fire.
Yeah.
Okay. And do you formulate a plan? I guess I'm trying to figure out.
we don't find out.
Do you have a strategy of what you're going, what funds are available, whether it's benefit or raises or,
We do that. So typically, we like to do a market analysis, see what other people are getting paid. So you have some comparison.
Right, but I'm talking about more the give and take of the cost of benefits and.
Like the health insurance stuff or the.
Or anything, yeah.
Like
Any
sick
benefits
leave
with a price
incentives
tag,
or something
yeah.
like that. Sorry, I guess I'm not getting the question. Do we look at that or?
Well, is there a strategy of a give and take if raises are
Yeah, I mean, usually.
gonna impact significantly,
Yeah, I mean, usually,
I guess I'm asking, is it a give and take or just a give or take?
So to be honest, it is a little hard because obviously they're going to ask for some money, and on the administration side, it's like, well, what do we want to add? What do we want from this process? So
Isn't-
ask for is a little.
Isn't it a fact that all unions watch one particular, for argument's sake, the police contract, and what percentage they get, then they automatically all ask for the same percentage?
Yeah, that's pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, so we have to be very careful showing our hand what we're willing to give and what we're not willing to give.
Yeah, and that's actually nice that several of them are expired at the same time.
And that's the point I'm trying to make. What they're gonna give, but is there a give and take? Are there trade-offs along, is that factored in?
Yeah, I mean, it's factored in, but like, yeah, to be thinking like, oh, what will really help me as part of what management right do I need that I don't have now that I can offset when I can give them salary increase?
You know what would help us? We followed President Reagan's original plan. Fire everybody and tell them the first ones in the door are rehired. That's when your seniority begins.
I don't know about that.
It's a suggestion.
Do you go at it with a dollar amount? This is based on the budget, this is,
Yeah, I mean, usually, yeah, there's some sort of like, I know I have this much amount that I can spend.
right,
It's gotta be within that.
right. And so does it ever go to a give and take? In order to get this, you gotta give that?
Yeah, and that's definitely, but it.
Okay, that's, I just want to make sure.
More or less, I think he has to, through the chair, more or less, you have to work within those,
Yeah.
Constraints, right.
Yeah, I'm
amount
just
of money that you,
trying to understand the
Yeah.
town, you know, the government
Yeah.
way of doing.
I mean, usually you start out with like, okay, look, I have, $10,000, whatever, the
Yeah,
amount is,
yeah.
that's as high as I can go.
Yeah.
Instead of giving you a bigger raise, what if I give you this instead?
Yeah,
Again,
What if I pay the pension benefit obligation so you can retire with that? No, I'm kidding.
through the chair. It was suggested, and again, I can't understand why we don't. Take the negotiations out of the hands of anybody that works for the town of Webster. Get a agency, like we have a legal department, get an agency, do all the negotiating, and nobody could ever complain. Every time we sign a contract, there's something in there, a sweetheart part of the contract that benefits certain people according to the town infrastructure. Wouldn't it be advantageous for us to go out to an outside source to do all of our negotiating and all our contracts?
What would be the
It
benefit?
ends any speculation of giveaways, any whatsoever, of political giveaways. Every contract we sign in this town, and you've lived here long enough to understand what I'm saying, there's always one portion of that contract that irks a large portion of the town as a giveaway.
And I can't speak to what's been done in the past, but looking at the contracts, there's nothing that's.
I'm not even going, I'm just going to the past 3 contracts in the past couple of years. I can point out, that were pointed out to me, items in there that seem like political favors.
Yeah, I mean, usually you have counsel with you when you're negotiating, or at least they
Usually?
review them.
Oh, really?
Well, and I would anticipate though, I'm sorry, through the chair, that counsel is there for more of the legal versus the business terms. There are people who make a living at doing this exact type of thing, and I don't have the knowledge and the background that Mr. Finmore has, but I do understand the value of someone from a sourcing team, from a negotiation team, doing that type of activity across the board, not just for this particular cut, but for some of the shared services, for some of the negotiations, for some of the strategic sourcing. I think it's worth some discussion in regards to whether or not Webster has an appetite to do that, and at what cost would we
Right.
be able to find someone to do that type of activity.
Yeah.
If it's too expensive, it's too expensive, but
But
it may be worth
certainly,
looking
on
We
the
have
other
to pay
side
town
of the
attorney
table,
anyway.
they have that resource.
at. They
Yeah.
absolutely, yes, they have.
what is the anticipated cost of town attorney being at these meetings? And that would cut the expense down by town attorney's cost.
Attorneys, based on my experience, are typically looking at the legal term versus the business term. They leave it up to the defined business owner to negotiate through those business terms. And a lot of the things that we're talking about here are business, they're not really legal.
I'll look into it, because that would free up a lot of my time. I don't know how cost effective it would be.
Yeah, right.
And I don't know. I see the difference between what that might say. It's probably gonna be very minuscule compared to what
You're still
we
gonna,
negotiate on our own.
you're still gonna pay counsel, 'cause they're still.
Oh, yeah,
they're still
no,
gonna
it's
review
not
it.
gonna, one doesn't replace the other.
Yeah, to review, I think, only at that point.
But I
Prices are
think,
gonna- The prices
you know,
are gonna go down.
I think we have seen, you know, that it seems to go a certain way one time and then others complain and it just,
With all due respect to town council, I
When
wouldn't give you
look at
3
what
cents
people
for
have
it.
agreed to for raises here, I'm like, if I was in the union, I would have never agreed to that. But the percent increases have been.
Don't discuss that on the air, thank you.
I mean, everyone got ones, for a lot of them,
yeah.
the cap. But, so, what I guess I'm trying to say is that I don't think they have been poorly negotiated in the past.
Get into detail. Okay, on the, I think, Sarah, you had a thought about creating an audit committee?
Yes.
And did you want to express?
Audit committees are generally recommended because they're the ones that are going to meet with the audit team and voice their concerns, things they would like to have looked at, and kind of give them their marching orders. And then they are also, you know, made up of qualified persons who can discuss the audit with the auditors at the end of the, and receive the presentation. So it's generally recommended to, that an audit committee be created only for that purpose, to be in existence through the period of the audit.
Yeah, my only thought is rather than having a separate committee, much like what we're doing for the capital stuff, have a subcommittee of the finance committee do that.
Well, that's fine.
Yeah, that's, first rate.
That's the same thing, so that's okay.
So who typically comprises such a committee? Is it usually
Usually it's
the
financial
financial
people.
team?
No, not the financial team of the town, because they're the ones being audited,
Right.
but
Who, that's,
people with financial understandings
right.
to meet with the auditors at the beginning of the audit, saying, you know, this is, we have concerns, we don't have concerns, but, you know,
I nominate you and Nick.
Who gives the audit committee marching orders?
excuse me?
Who gives the audit committee marching orders?
Well, if the audit committee is made up of people who have some financial acumen, they can read the prior year audit and go with the prior year management comments and letter and say, okay, where do we stand from here? Are these things being resolved? Has there been follow through with the recommendations that were made?
Are we overstepping our authority? No?
Audit committee is not really.
And all they are there is to kind of, you know, you're looking for a response from the audit committee, okay? Based on your testing and your,
But the audit report and the management letters are the sole privilege and priority of the town selectmen. And if they don't do anything
No, they're
about it,
the-
how does the audit committee get in there and tell the auditors or request that the auditors look at certain areas.
Is it by charter that they are they're the information of the selectmen? No, it's just the way it's been done, I believe.
I think we're overstepping our bounds there. There are mechanisms in place for that.
I would respectfully disagree. I think that it would be a collaborative partnership and show additional leadership.
Majority always rules.
Pardon me?
Majority always rules.
So we're in the midst of an audit. So it's already begun.
It's already in
last month.
process.
So are you talking,
But we could,
Yeah, when you get the results, you can review it and ask any questions.
right,
so for this year, yeah.
for this year.
And it would be in preparation for next year?
Yeah, and then.
Well, no,
then,
you
if
could
they
sit
have
with
any-
the selectmen and ask questions, be allowed to ask questions.
Right, and you could review it, and have recommendation for the selectmen when the auditor comes to present to the selectmen as well.
Right.
Well, I don't, I'm only speaking personal, I don't feel I have the accounting knowledge to partake in that.
Through the chair, I think, we're fortunate right now as a committee that we have a few members here that have that financial background to be able to do something like that. What if down the road, there is not a Sarah, there is not a Nick, and I think, Laura, you have some accounting background?
I have business background,
Okay.
not specific financial, although I've done a lot of financial management.
Laura, you have financial background? So we're fortunate, we have three.
But there's nothing to
candidate.
prevent someone from the town, a private citizen as well, with that background to also sit on the committee. And that's not uncommon.
My
Who
only,
would- Who would make that appointment?
my
Town
only,
administrator.
my only objection or my only observation is, you look at an audit and your brain is geared to a certain section. For argument's sake, if I were an inspector and I was going out inspecting, today I'm on window shades, tomorrow I may be on chairs. And when your brain is there, even with a committee, they're geared to a certain area of that audit. What happens if there's other members have different questions that they want to ask the auditor, or different areas they want to pursue in that audit report prior to it being released? I think we're, again, it's strictly a personal opinion, I think we're overstepping our bounds.
But let me, through the chair, let me say this to you, Mr. Finnemore. You had a question maybe a couple meetings ago. You questioned our previous auditors. What were they doing for 5-7 years, auditing our books, and never came up with some of the problems that we came up with?
They always came up with them, but they were never followed through by our Board of Selectmen or, if you look at the management letters and the audit reports, they've been consistent since 2004. They have been consistent, and this board has brought that to the attention of the general public and to the selectmen. But the selectmen have ignored it, and I believe they're still ignoring it at the present time.
But maybe once we have another type of a committee set up, they will not ignore some of these things because now there's questions being
Again,
asked.
like I had stated, majority rules. I just gave an opinion.
Sure.
So through the
Now-
chair, this is where we develop this, get away from the adversarial and work more collaboratively.
Yes.
And so this is where we say, hey, Board of Selectmen, I know you don't want to ask these questions, we're here to help you.
Right.
We know the questions to ask, so let's ask them. for you.
Oftentimes, it's comprised of two of the Board of the Selectmen, a person who's not, a resident of the town, who's interested and has some financial background, as well as some members of the Finance Committee. That's not an abnormal committee. And the town administrator usually. Don't you usually sit on an audit committee? Yeah. So,
Is it worth a try?
Anything's worth a try, but.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Again, I think we're overstepping our bounds.
To create a separate committee, I don't know if we get anyone.
No, I think,
But if we had.
but it's not, but what I've heard from other towns is they're created and disbanded.
yeah,
They're only for that purpose.
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not a long-term commitment.
So I think it'd be pretty easy if the two of you were willing, and Doug, and offer it to the selectmen.
How about Nick?
Or Nick?
3 people.
Oh, I don't care. Nick's
Yeah.
already on one project.
I'll do it, that's fine.
I'd like to make a motion that we select three
Because the
individuals.
only thing I'm saying is, this is probably during the day.
Okay, yeah, can do that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
It'd probably be only one daytime meeting with the auditors,
two.
at the beginning and the end.
Yeah,
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah.
He'd get permission from his boss for that, to be an audit committee.
I'll make a motion that we select 3 individuals from the finance committee for this
Well, I
audit
mean,
committee.
would you wanna,
Yeah,
I
Laura,
don't see anybody else volunteering.
Laura, Sarah, and Nick.
You would look,
I would not be appropriate.
okay.
I think right now they have the
Yeah.
background.
Yeah. I'll second that. Any other discussion?
And you can bring it to the selectmen and see if
And,
they're,
you know, maybe
Yeah,
Randy
So
or-
ask them if they wanna have 2 people review it more in depth, and if they don't, you still.
Well, we have-
still need
do we have
3.
3 or 2?
Excuse me?
We have 3?
3.
We have 3.
But you want me to ask the board of selectmen if 2 of them would be interested?
one or two, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it might be
If
good.
they're not adverse to having an audit committee
Yeah.
to
Yeah,
deal with the
yeah.
audit.
Try it, you know,
Yeah.
see if there's a benefit to it, or if it's, you know.
It's not.
Yeah.
Dispense.
Yeah, I mean, the finance committee and the board of selectmen are gonna review it anyway, so if someone wants to look at it more in depth.
And I think it's the pre-staging too for the next one is an important
Correct.
aspect too. to
And
make
it's
sure-
also a time for us to get better educated as well.
Yeah, yeah, there's a lot of good to the, is it?
It works
It's
both
okay if
ways.
You have 3 if
Yeah.
one can't make it for some particular
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah.
you
Right.
have
Yeah,
2,
no, that's fine.
you know?
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Moving on. Oh, I'd like to request for the next meeting, a revenue and expense statement for the compost facility. Would it be closed out by then?
The next meeting might be, yeah, probably not, because it's not closing. until
That's, yeah, and
Thanksgiving.
all the expenses, the final composting and transportation and stuff.
So if it helps, I have last year's already.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So maybe in January, though, we can look at this year.
Yeah.
Through the chair, is there an ability to, I mean, I've seen private citizens ask to keep that open until the leaves fall down.
So, there's a permit that you have to comply with, so, actually, the highway department has done a great job extending it as much as possible, so they had already extended it a week, and then I asked them to extend it another week, so it's now closing after the weekend of Thanksgiving. Beyond that, it would be pretty much impossible to keep it open and still comply with the NIPD's permit.
Comply with what?
NIPD's, I forgot,
Okay.
but.
Is that a
to-
state permit or?
Yeah, because, they have to, take all the compost material, grind it up, chop it
Yeah,
up,
yeah.
before a certain time. So,
Why?
What makes
through the
us
chair,
different?
Why is that? Why
uh,
is there a limitation on composting?
I can look into it, but, it's like the stormwater concerns that, I'll get a better detailed answer.
Please.
It seems like other towns,
I mean, Dudley.
even our neighboring town, yeah.
360, you know, they're open 300.
Oh, there's,
I'm pretty sure they are. I mean, it's,
maybe they maybe theirs is taken somewhere else to.
Yeah,
or
yeah.
something.
I think it's been a long-standing complaint, and I'm sure you're probably
Yeah,
well aware of it, but.
that, we open every day.
Well, yeah, I mean, but it's reasonable, especially with the weather we're having,
Yeah.
the past few
I thought
years.
you, like, that big storm would knock down all the leaves, but like, there's still leaves.
Yeah, yeah.
Oak leaves won't
Oaks,
come down
yeah.
until like,
Next
end of
spring.
November, December.
You know, I think it would be well served if we could get it to like the middle of December, like December 15th or something, you know, something in that order, I think it would. I mean, opening it year-round would be, you know, a
Yeah,
lot.
that's another thing, they open, through the chair, excuse me. But they open up, like, sometime in January to take Christmas trees. So, I mean, they have to compost those things.
Eventually,
So,
but I don't think they do it.
Let's write that down.
Next item was just the expectations for, yeah,
Well, so real quick,
Oh,
I'll just
yeah.
explain this. So last year, calendar year, we had sold 368 stickers. We gave out 187, which are free to veterans. Look at the other page. So the cost of purchasing the stickers, the employees to be there on the weekdays and the weekend, they had to do something, they bought, and they grinded all down, so, I don't know why that's, oh, yeah, so. Those are the costs, those are, I guess, the direct costs of keeping the compost station. The other ones are kind of indirect costs, like we're gonna be paying the guys to be there anyway, but, if we were to allocate their time to compost things, that's what the cost would be.
and do we get into union issues if we reallocate those hours per week?
Yes, we do. So they, yeah, I mean, it can be negotiated, but yeah.
Yeah. And is there overtime involved in this?
Yeah, for the weekends, it's covered by overtime by the highway employees.
And that's a contractual issue.
Yeah. I'm sure they would be happy to be open every single weekend, but that just costs us a lot of money.
Do we have anything similar to split shifts, where we call a guy in 4 hours in the morning, he goes home for 4 hours, comes back 4 hours in the afternoon or evening?
It's probably a callback.
Yeah,
Well,
I mean,
split, they call it split shift.
yeah, that would have to be negotiated.
Right.
It's not in the contract.
But even that, I
I don't know. if
can't do
that's-
that on the weekend, but the weekend's basically a 4-hour call.
I have seen a lot of, through the chair, I have seen a lot of complaints about the hours of operation, not nights, not late afternoons, not weekends. So people find it very difficult to use, so they're in some cases not buying the sticker because they can't get there when for, I think it's something that we need to take a look at over time, so.
Through the chair, have we looked at just modifying just maybe Thursday, Friday, Saturday? You know, a
Well,
shorter and, you know, longer hours.
I think that's part of the contractual, anything's, can be negotiated and I think. But I think the standing issue is that it's not conducive to a working person.
Exactly.
And it's not conducive to the weather at the end of the season.
What about the senior citizen force with tax incentive? Are we allowed to use them there at the compost center?
I don't know.
That's worth looking into. Yeah, I have to.
There were tons of senior citizens that would like to have something to do. And if they can get a tax break or even a breakfast and a lunch,
Just so you know, Mike, there was probably less than a half dozen people that,
took
Put in for
advantage
that.
of it.
yeah, or even inquired. Some took the papers and didn't bring them back, so I think there's only a few, probably 3 or
Wow.
4.
I'm surprised.
Yeah, And it's new and it was a little unclear on the process and it was stagnant for a while, so I can see that there might be more interest as it gets a little more organized and, you know, gets out there, but it got off to a very slow start. Okay, so, next item?
Hey, sorry,
Yeah.
just one question. On the second page, the $13,000 in expenses, where is that coming from?
This one?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, so the 13,000 is the direct cost, so the stickers, the employee salary, that.
Thank you.
okay. Okay, next item is the expectations for the role and duties of the Finance Committee reporting secretary. I think Christine and I have talked a lot about the expectations of the reporting secretary, and I think over the years, things have just fallen into a pattern. And I think it's more or less, what is the expectation of a recording secretary? In my mind is when this committee calls a meeting, there's a secretary to record the meeting, whether it's, you know, I think Christine said that her understanding was that it would be once a month and maybe a few times in the spring. Is that what your understanding was, pretty much?
When I was first appointed 15 years ago, it was just meet once a month and.
A couple of more times maybe in the spring.
Like sometimes in February,
Yeah.
the budget, or
And-
April.
And it was understood that you didn't have to really come to the special the meetings, not the special town meeting, but the meetings that we hold before the special and regular, yeah.
Because I've always worked really hard.
Right, so it's just over the years, you know, things have, I think it needs to be set on what the expectation is, you know, in all fairness to everybody. I think it should be the recording secretary should, you know, within reason be expected to go to all meetings established by this committee. Is that a fair expectation?
Well,
If I was to,
through the chair, I was on the original committee that hired Chris and been on many committees after that, and she's been here. Her work has been exceptional and exemplary.
That's not.
I don't know what the issue is,
Just what I
just making
stated.
meetings?
Being the recording secretary for meetings called by the finance committee.
I was chairman, I know quite a few others that were chairman, never had a problem. If we called her up and said you had to make a meeting, never had a problem. You want to make it a definitive now?
I think
In other words,
that's what I'm saying.
if we said that, I remember saying, Chris, you're gonna make the town meeting, we're gonna have a meeting inside the town, inside the hall, and not in the special room. And she came to it. If I didn't call her when I was chairman, or when Barisic was chairman, or when someone else was chairman, didn't call her to tell her that we were going to hold a meeting there, we didn't require her, so now you're saying you would like to require her to be at every meeting called by this board?
As the
Yes.
recording secretary,
Okay.
yes, yeah.
All right, just wanted to get that,
Yeah.
all right.
in the way it was explained when I did take the job originally, and it seemed to go through the years, I know Mike was chairman, Mr. Basic, Mr. Bork, Mr. Slaughter, and it was stated that if I couldn't make a meeting, that it
well,
was, yeah, but it was.
I thought-
But you would let somebody know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I didn't
I
have to
mean,
be at
we all
every-
can, you know, I
I didn't
couldn't
have
make
to
the
be at
last
town
meeting.
I
Huh?
didn't have to be ever at the town meeting. I went to the meeting, like, make the one right before. But
Oh,
it was
yeah.
never
No,
special.
I think it's important, this is an important committee to have the meetings minutes recorded. And I think we have the luxury of having a paid position to do that. And I think that's a reasonable expectation to expect the secretary at meetings that are called. I mean, you know when the meeting is. It's not like we gotta call you. You know, if you can say, oh, I can't make that date at this meeting, then that's fine. I mean, that's understandable.
Right.
But I'm just saying the expectation is that the recording secretary will be at every meeting called by this committee. And I think we might be meeting more frequently, and I think we are meeting more frequently than maybe years ago.
No, we, January to March,
We met a few times.
we
in
met
October.
3 times and 4 times a week.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
No, when the budgetary season came in, we were meeting, and she was there.
Yeah.
I didn't have a complaint as a member or as chairman. And I know that she's been,
I'm
there
not
were
so
rave
much taking
reviews
it as
on
a
the manner in
complaint.
which she takes the minutes and gives, I was under the impression you were, disappointed in the manner in which the records, the minutes were coming and the speed that they were coming to you.
The other part is, you know, we're trying to develop a workaround, but it's impossible for me, and I think most chairmen, to know what the follow-up is from the last meeting when you don't have the minutes from that meeting as you're creating the
Yeah,
agenda.
we've covered that on two separate
Yeah.
places,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, so all I'm
No,
looking
I-
for is setting an expectation. I'm
Well,
not
then,
looking to.
I'm gonna plead guilty to being lax with the secretary because of the fine job she had done.
And that's fine.
so-
That's fine. I just want to have a clear understanding for everyone. And it would help to have the meetings, the minutes before the agenda is set, but we have a workaround that we just talked about, and we're going to try that, and hopefully that'll put everything to bed. The last thing for informational mail is, I got a letter from Carol Marchand. She resigned, she had to resign from this committee, effective November 6th. She's been appointed to a position, the recreation director,
Oh,
so she can't be a town employee and be on this committee, so we'd like to have to give her up. And,
Can we send her a letter of appreciation?
sure,
Make that a motion, send her a letter of appreciation.
second, yeah.
if we want to vote on it.
I don't think
Send
it
the letter.
requires a vote.
Yeah.
Aye.
The other thing is that I let the moderator know that we're down to 7 members now.
7.
So I let the moderator know that she was an appointment of his, and there was an open position, so he's advertising for 2 people to be appointed to this committee, so that's out there, it's on the town website, I think, so.
Who's the other appointment?
It's an open appointment,
Nick was appointed.
Oh,
Who's appointing the other,
huh?
who's appointing the other position?
The moderator has 2
Oh, both of
positions,
them?
yeah,
Oh, okay.
yeah. The selectmen are all set. And, yeah, so it's
Oh,
just-
because Lori and Nick were selectmen.
I think I was.
Or you
Yeah.
were too.
Yeah. So it's just a moderator. So anybody have anything else?
Yes, can I make a, through the chair, I don't know if I can bring this up or not, but, you can tell me if it's correct or not. Handouts.
Huh?
That handouts that we get at our meetings, are they public record? I know a lot of people have asked me that they would love to attend our meetings, but they're very hard to follow
Mhm.
because we're looking at handouts and they're just
Yeah.
sitting there and it's hard for them to follow our meetings.
Yeah,
And more would attend if handouts, you know, the same information that we're looking at,
Yeah.
that they're able to look at. And, you know, are they public record or,
Yeah, no,
Or do we
definitely.
just-
If I give you guys, you know, the public can have it. So, I can bring more copies to these meetings.
bring 2 more.
Would one of those overhead projectors on the wall do, like the schools do, instead of handouts?
Projector.
One of,
I mean, I can put on a PowerPoint, but that takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
I'd rather just make a more copy.
well, I'd hate to see you print 50,
No, I don't think we have to worry about it.
No, I mean, you just
Yeah.
have to
4 or
take
5
it, you know.
would be-
4 or 5?
So, also,
They can share.
this might, we're supposed to keep a copy of whatever's handed out at the meeting
Right.
with the minutes.
Yeah. And Christine's
Yeah.
makes a note in the minutes of the documents that were,
Is that, Mr. Wilson, that meeting is December 6th at 6 PM or 7 PM?
they've been meeting at 6.
Yeah, I would assume it's gonna be at 6.
I make a motion that our next meeting be December 6th, 6 PM.
What day of the week is that?
So that's a Wednesday.
It's a Wednesday.
It's not when we say our meetings are gonna be.
How are we gonna have, are you talking about a joint meeting, or?
Yeah. I think we were invited to that meeting. It's gonna be a DOR report.
But anybody
think
can
we
go to
should
that
be
meeting.
there.
Why do we, you know?
Yeah, I mean,
I don't think it
why
needs
do we
to
have
be
to
at-
go as a committee?
You wanna go individually?
I'm gonna go.
All right. Then- I'm gonna make a motion that we adjourn.
I'll second that.
When's our next meeting?
It'll be the. week-
7th.
The first, yeah, whatever.
Like normal.
Yeah, just like normal.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Yes.
7th.
So, actually,
I will not be here at the December 7th meeting.
I mean, you're probably,
Yeah, I prefer 6:30.
I prefer earlier the better, but.
I don't have a problem with that, yeah.
I don't either, I mean,
My schedule might change in February,
For the better, or?
better.
Alright, let's reassess in February then. That's
But that's, yeah, I mean, December and January, the first week, I wouldn't be able to make the first set.
Alright.
Like, I can make the 6th, I can leave work earlier that day for that meeting.
We're on the meeting on the 7th.
Yeah, he's
Yeah,
talking
we're
about
talking
the
6th,
COR
too,
report.
DOR one.
Alright, we'll just plan on keeping that 7 then. And then
Christine,
We'll reevaluate in the new year.
yeah, after January, my schedule's drawing.
I'm gonna be in the Caribbean.
Oh, you're going to the Caribbean this
I'm
year?
going to the Caribbean on the 6th.
Of December?
Yes. I'm
And you wanted
very
to have a
15th,
meeting.
I'm out.
How, didn't you?
My bride is taking me on a vacation.
Didn't
Yeah, but
wanna
you
have a
just said
meeting
you
on the
wanted to
6th?
have a meeting.
yes.
Getting in the negotiation, what we do. No, but when you- Yeah, the tree tickets. 'Cause he can't.
Merry Thanksgiving.
Good night.
Is it? Don't know.
You sent that to me anyway, right?
Yeah.
nice Thanksgiving, guys.
You too. When are you leaving?
For warmer climates.
Oh, 2 weeks. Oh, nice. Don't forget to come back.
Keep telling Linda someday she's gonna be coming back by herself.
And a question like that's fine, if there was a question about, yeah, something else, then that would have to be. Yeah, but yeah, so definitely, you're not allowed to have that line. We can talk about whatever we want.
Christie, is that the last case of your?
Glasses?
That's the end.